From battling on the bridges of Sentai Mountain and protecting the Golden City at its peak, the Exo-Force now finds their way to a deep jungle at the base of the mountain. And sadly, it's here that we reach the rather sudden ending of the Exo-Force story. The theme's unexpected cancellation was announced at the tail end of 2007, and although the LEGO Group usually prefers to quietly discontinue their themes, they actually released a public statement regarding the end of Exo-Force, citing poor sales for the reason there would only be one more wave of sets in January of 2008. Despite that being a pretty rough conclusion to such an iconic theme, I think you'll find there's still a lot to love about this wave of sets. So let's head back to Sentai Mountain one last time and take a look at the final wave of LEGO Exo-Force. We left things at a bit of a cliffhanger last episode. The humans emerged victorious in the battle for the Golden City, but at a cost. Sensei Keiken was captured. Yet here in Deep Jungle, unlike the previous waves of Exo-Force, there is virtually no supplementary material to go alongside the sets. No books, no gear, no nothing. The only thing that gives us even a peek at how the Exo-Force story ends is a single online comic titled Jungle Mission. In the comic, a secret message recorded by Keiken and meant to be played in the event of his capture names Hitomi leader of the Exo-Force and sends the rest of the team on one last mission. Apparently, Keiken was so prepared for this eventuality that he even created brand new battle machines for each of our 4 original pilots without any of them knowing. Keiken goes on to explain how many years ago he created Mecha 1 in a Golden City outpost at the base of Sentai Mountain, buried away deep in the treacherous jungle. The Exo-Force team must find this outpost before the robots do in order to prevent them from unlocking the secrets that it hides. But beyond that though, there is nothing in terms of official lore. 2 more chapter books were planned, but were cancelled before they could be released. Some limited information is known about Book 6 thanks to the illustrator David White. Along with a few images that he shared from the book, he wrote this description of the novel on his blog. This book chronicled why the Exo-Force had to leave the Golden City and trek to the dangerous forest region lower on the mountain. Book 7 would have picked things up in the jungle itself and given us a more detailed look at the rescue of Sensei Keiken. Unfortunately, it never saw the light of day either, and even less is known about it. But what we do have is the sets. 7 brand new battle machines that released in January of 2008. The first set of the wave that we're going to be taking a look at is Hayato's River Dragon. One interesting thing to note right off the bat here is that this is the first water-based mech, and for that matter, the only water-based mech in all of Exo-Force. The turbines you see there on the back are actually used to propel the machine through water. Kinda cool. You'll also note once again a pretty distinct stylistic change from the Golden City sets into these ones. The color scheme has been cleaned up quite a bit, which is nice to see, especially after some of the Golden City sets could definitely be classified as a bit messy. Let's take a look at Hayato. All the Exo-Force pilots get another costume change for the Deep Jungle, which is always great. No back or leg printing here, and the head printing on both sides remains the same, but bear in mind, this was 2008. Minifigures were nowhere near as extravagant as they are today. I still love the looks of these guys, and the hair has yet to be topped, let's be real. The construction of the mech you see here is pretty similar to Cyclone Defender from the Golden City era, and all of the battle machines that we'll be taking a look at today use a variety of both ball joints and ratcheted hinges to give them the best flexibility and the strength you'd want. It was really cool to see the theme evolve over the course of its run from the relatively fragile Wave 1 mechs to stuff that could honestly hold up pretty well today, both in the aesthetic department and in the strength department. The big gimmick of the Deep Jungle era sets is the inclusion of mini-bots, and this idea, quite frankly, is brilliant. What could be better than Exo-Force battle machines than tiny Exo-Force battle machines? In the set stickers, they're referred to as spy drones, and as always, Deep Jungle continues the trend of using a ton of stickers, but they all provide some great lore and world building for this universe. This mini-bot is very securely attached to the River Dragon with a 6.6 stud long bar piece that also serves as just a massive gun protruding from the mini-bot's torso, which is awesome. Big guns is kind of what Exo-Force is all about. An interesting little fun fact about this mini-bot in particular is that the instruction manual has you build it differently than what you see on the finished box art and the instruction manual art and all the promo material. I have no idea what's up with that. I ended up going with the version that appears on the box. I think it looks a little better. I think in the instructions it has you put his legs or head on backwards. It's kind of bizarre. If you ever build this set, you'll see what I'm talking about. Another familiar element you'll find across all the Deep Jungle battle machines are the exo codes. This time around, they're stickered rather than printed on 1x2 tiles. But folks, listen, LEGO did not like to print things back in this era, not only just in Exo-Force, but for any of their themes in the 2000s. And I guess you could argue they still don't like to print things, do they now? These codes worked very similarly to what you saw back in the Golden City era. They would just unlock some exclusive online content, like some downloads, some special info, things of that nature. Since canonically these battle machines were constructed in the Golden City, it's nice to see a bit of a tie to the Golden City era, though in reality, this is more than likely just a ploy by the marketing team to try to get kids on the website and look at all the other cool products that they're selling. I've also got the instructions for this set, and when I say instructions, I mean instruction booklets, because for some reason, LEGO felt that this 112-piece set needed 2 instruction booklets to complete. And yes, they are labeled 1 and 2. It's not that I just happen to have 2 of the same single instruction booklet. Booklet 1 leaves you off right about here at step 11, and then you pick it up and finish it off in book 2. The back of the booklet features the correctly built mini bot, not the one that the instructions tell you to make, which is quite funny to me. You also get some artwork of all the minifigures included throughout this wave. It's very interesting to see how the style of the art too has changed over the course of the series. I don't think I much care for these compared to the original. This feels just a little bit generic, a little soft compared to what I expect from the Exo-Force theme. Then you get a truly bizarre combiner model merging River Dragon and Chameleon Hunter that we'll take a look at in a second to create something of a monstrosity, I must say. It's a fun way to kickstart your imagination, and regardless of the outcome of the combiner model, I'm glad that it exists. There's a lot of extra content here at the back of the pages. You also get, of course, the entire lineup of sets, which is always nice to see, all 7 from the Deep Jungle line. And then on the last page, a poster with the captured Sensei Keiken. Actually, if you look up in the top, it looks like they've captured a whole ton of humans, haven't they? It would have been really interesting to see that expanded upon in, you know, a bigger summer wave of sets, but it just wasn't meant to be. Exo-Force always did a good job of giving you matching pairs to play out some battles. So where there was a small human battle machine, there was going to be a small robot battle machine too. And that brings us to this guy. This is the 131-piece Arachnoid Stalker. It's certainly a bit different than your usual battle machine layout, but I like it a lot. This model does a great job of showcasing how the designers were attempting to capture the essence of a creature or insect that inhabits the jungle with each of these battle machines. Yeah, I know it might not have 8 legs, but let's face it, the first thought you have when you see this thing is definitely spider. It's because of this too, I think, that the Deep Jungle battle machines become some of the most memorable and distinct designs that we've seen throughout the entirety of the theme. Multi-legged vehicle might not be the most creative idea that we've seen so far, but just you wait. There's some really interesting concepts that Deep Jungle explores. Just like the humans, the robots also get mini-bots, and some of these are proper creepy. This one here is just attached to the front of the vehicle and can be popped off like so. At first glance, you know what this reminds me of? The giant squid from Aquabase Invasion, right? You got the tentacles, you got the creepy beak, and then you've got the skeleton floating up here in the body. Really freaky stuff. Does this little mini bot fly around eating humans? There's some pretty crazy implications. But yeah, all that trans neon green kind of plays into the idea that this is a very venomous spider. The set does have one last trick up its sleeves too, and that's that it can be split apart to give you this little flyer vehicle. Kind of fun. Unexpected, not entirely necessary, but I'm here for it. For one of the smallest sets of the wave, this thing looks really, really cool. I think the color scheme works well for the robot side of things, and there's just so much great detail. The chainsaws here, all the teeth in different colors, the creepy transparent neon green throughout the model. It's great stuff. And don't you worry, I've got 2 instruction booklets for this model too. I don't think there's anything too different from what we saw earlier, but I definitely want to highlight this Scorpion Combiner model that you can get from merging Dark Panther and Arachnoid Stalker. Even though the colors are a bit zany, this is a far more successful alternate build compared to what we saw on the human side of things. This looks awesome. We're taking things up a notch with this next battle machine, the Assault Tiger. With a retail price of $14.99, this was about double the size of the previous models. If you're wondering, inflation adjusted, that's sitting at about $22 today. Not a bad deal for a mech this size. This is a model I never had in my childhood collection, so it was very fun to pick this up for the first time. The armor plating on this one goes absolutely crazy with these massive yellow windscreens covering the majority of the legs here. The feet too are very interesting with a sideways build made mostly of 2x2x3 slope pieces in black. It all comes together to create what I think is a very attractive model, and in true Takeshi style is well armored. Speaking of Takeshi, let's take a look at him here. Much like what we saw in the Golden City era sets, he's sporting a dark red suit instead of the red one he started out with in the original waves. I do really like the print work on his torso. I think it looks great. Everything else about him is the same face prints, and of course the same iconic hair. He has perhaps one of the most comfortable Exo-Force cockpits I've ever seen throughout the theme. The set goes so far as to include a chair for him to actually sit down and pilot this thing. How awesome is that? The set makes pretty impressive use of these large 6x6 inverted slope pieces, 2 on the legs and then 1 for the cockpit, to give you a lot of bulk with just a handful of pieces. One arm of the mech, if you can call it that, it's basically just an axle, holds this saw blade for cutting through the jungle undergrowth. The other, once again, has another mini-bot. The mini-bot here is also stuck into place with that 6.6 long bar, and this guy is adorable. He matches the color scheme of the mech very well, and he's wielding 2 chainsaws ready to go to town. He's equal parts cute and terrifying, which is exactly what you want to see out of these tiny little mini bots. When the mini bot is deployed too, you still get some good action here with, you know, another big gun for the Exo-Force battle machine. The only thing I don't like about this particular battle machine, and unfortunately we're gonna see it again, is the use of 2x2 tiles for armor plating. I mean, that's not really selling me. For the most part, at least all of the legs are covered by these huge windscreens, so it doesn't bother me too much on this model. And I've also got the instruction booklet for this one too, so let's take a look at that. There's actually nothing in the back here. It's just the Join the LEGO Club advertisement. I was not expecting that. Okay, whatever. On to the next one. And the next battle machine is going to be Chameleon Hunter. This was a childhood favorite because I loved green, and this one has some really cool pieces. I need to highlight them right away, right? This element is still in production today. You would have seen some on last year's Bar Dur, and they've come in a variety of colors, but they originated here in Exo-Force. It's a truly bizarre element made up of hard plastic on the bottom 3 studs, slowly morphing into a different color of flexible rubber. It ended up fitting the vibe of Deep Jungle pretty well, and this is definitely not the last time you'll be seeing it today. And you'll be seeing it in different colors too, which is pretty fun. Of all the things to stick around from Exo-Force, this is not the piece I would have expected, but it's a ton of fun, so I'm really glad it's still here, still being made in different colors all these years later. The format of Chameleon Hunter is pretty similar to what we saw on Assault Tiger. It's just a little less bulky, a bit more nimble, which is what you would expect from a battle machine piloted by Hikaru. Hikaru here is pretty similar once again to his previous 2 minifigures, but he gets a slightly updated torso, which does a good job of matching in with the other figures from this line. The cockpit of the Chameleon Hunter is made up of that same 6x6 piece that we saw in Assault Tiger, but unfortunately Hikaru does not get the same nice chair to sit down, and he has to stand up to pilot his craft. Looking at it now, you know, Exo-Force has really never done a good job of including controls of any kind for the figures. I think that would have been an easy win for all of the battle machines. Sometimes you get some levers, but not this year. For weapons, on this side, we've got this spinning claw. These can all be adjusted with ratcheting joints, and you got a laser in there. you'll see the EXO code right above that, and it says danger, high explosive. Somewhere along in the design process, I think the stickers got mixed around here, but you'll find a little info plaque for the spy drone above the weapon, even though he's on the other side. And from what I can tell, all the promo images have these mixed around too. The instructions have the stickers mixed around. It's not the end of the world. On the other side, you've got this big flame that we've seen in a few other Exo-Force sets from the Golden City era. And of course, we've got our mini-bot. This guy is awesome. He's wielding 2 red swords. He's got some great shoulder armor with these shield pieces. Once again, you got that 6.6 long bar sticking out the back. That's what gets him securely into place on the battle machine. You gotta remember that there just was not nearly as many tiny pieces in the LEGO portfolio as there is today. Designers would have a heyday making mini-bots in 2025, I can tell you that. The swords here are kind of funny. Because it's made of the softer plastic that LEGO uses for some of their elements, it is a slightly different color, a color that is often categorized as rust on Bricklink. Even though you'll never find a set that includes the sword elements in rust, you'll still find listings on Bricklink because, I mean, for all intents and purposes, it is that color. Another example of a very common miscolored element is going to be this 1x6 little gate fence piece. It's the same thing. It's made up of that more flexible plastic, and it just discolors easily, or maybe it even came out of the factory looking this way. I'm doing my best to show you it side by side here. I'm not sure how well that shows up on camera, but it is a distinct difference. If you're parting this one together, you can buy either or. I'm guessing both the red and the rust are gonna look exactly the same, no matter how they're listed on Bricklink. Once again, the feet of this battle machine are built completely sideways. I think they look great. There's just some really cool shaping that can happen because of that. And you get these little engine exhaust pieces, which I really like in there as well. In the designer's attempts to mimic the Chameleon, you get a lot of these really interesting angles, and I really like the personality that this mech has, especially when you put it alongside Assault Tiger, which is a completely different looking mech. It's really cool to have that contrast, but they still feel like they're part of the same squad. A lot of the graphic design work, I think, is doing some of the heavy lifting there, but also just the way the colors are laid out in these models. Even though LEGO Corporate gave up on Exo-Force, you can tell that the LEGO designers had not yet given up on Exo-Force. There was still a lot of love and passion being poured into this theme, even as it neared its end. All right, I got the instruction booklet for this one too, but I'm not so confident we're gonna see anything. This one does have stuff in the end. Go figure. I don't know. There you go. There's the sets. And a combiner model. Another rather goofy one. So this is actually the second combiner model that makes use of this set in particular. You can make one or the other. I think this is slightly better than the River Dragon combiner model. Yeah, it's definitely better, but you know, you compare this to the Scorpion we saw earlier, and I don't know, the humans gotta up their game. That's all I'm saying. All right, so we get a slightly larger look at the poster here, and I think this is fascinating because in the background, you can actually see the remains of what looks to be a fire vulture from Wave 1, and the Grand Titans down there, impaled on a spike. What does it mean? Like, the battle machines that fell from above, you know, while they're fighting on the bridges, in the early days of Exo-Force, collapsed all the way down into the ravine at the base of the mountain, perhaps. Why is this so much cooler than the Assault Tiger? We got a big spread of all the characters, big spread of all the sets, and an even larger sign up for the LEGO Club advertisement. All right, I'm glad we looked at the instruction booklet. All right, now it's time to check in with the robots again. This is the infamous Dark Panther. Perhaps you've heard the anecdote before that this was the set that decided that purple lived and dark turquoise died. Back when this set was being produced, Mark Stafford was told he could either make the set in purple or he could make it in turquoise. Whatever color he didn't choose would be cut from the LEGO color palette entirely. Mark made the tough but probably correct choice of keeping purple around, and that's why you saw dark turquoise disappear until rather recently with its return in the downtown diner modular building. Seeing this set in turquoise does not quite inspire the same feelings in me that purple brings out. It's got a darker, more sinister feel to it, appropriate for a model named Dark Panther. Again, you're seeing a really interesting design here, the likes of which we've never seen before in Exo-Force. We've got all those wonderful spike elements all across this guy, this time in purple and tipped with yellow. Even if they don't scream Panther to me all of a sudden, they definitely scream Exo-Force Deep Jungle. This set actually includes the wave's most minifigures, with a Devastator pilot and 2 iron drones with buzzsaw jetpacks? Yeah, check these out. These are pretty sweet. They simply detach from the side of the Dark Panther, and yes, with buzzsaws, they fly around with some sort of ray gun. I love it when the designers made use of the attachment points on these robots to give us some like weird robot hybrid nightmare fuel. The best example will forever be the weird little spider thing that came with Sentai Fortress. That one is awesome. I could imagine a whole army of these buzzing out of the jungle. But of course, that's not the only thing that's going to detach from this battle machine. You've also got another mini-bot. This time around, it's, you know, another 6-legged spider. Pretty close though. And the shaping here is honestly perfect. I don't know what else you could ask for, especially with the pieces of the time. It's instantly recognizable. I like that the mini-bots for each faction are visually distinct, right? You've got the basically mini versions of the big battle machines for the human side, and then the robots got all sorts of creepy crawlies. Really, really cool. I also really like how you get access to this mini-bot. It's just a clever technique here with the hinges and then the way you get the spikes protruding out the back. It's cool. There's some good flexibility here too with ankle ball joints and then some ratcheting joints at the body. It makes a pretty modest piece count into a pretty large set. Perhaps it's a bit goofy looking, doesn't quite capture Panther. Once again, I think it fits and it works for what the robots were going for in the jungle. For some reason, I also have 2 instruction booklets for Dark Panther, but this time around, I literally just have 2 of the same booklet. They were able to figure out how to put all of the directions into a single bound booklet, and I don't know where the second one came from, but they're both in great condition, so that's cool. Oh, wow. Okay. This one's got all sorts of bonus material in the back. So first up, we get another kind of killer robot looking combiner model. It's not trying to be anything in particular, but the colors work together here a lot better, I think. And I love the Devastator here at the bottom with just some swords. Exo-Force is going medieval. You get the same poster that we've seen before and the entire lineup of sets. But this is really interesting. You get individual images of the boxes of the other sets. Club magazine ad. But then full pages of the other sets. I mean, Assault Tiger didn't even bother to include this for itself. There's, yeah, your Chameleon Hunter, and I don't want to spoil the rest. We'll take a look at those in a second. It's here in the lineup that we actually skip a set number. We go from Dark Panther's 8115 to Storm Lasher's 8117. So it begs the question, what happened to 8116? And interestingly enough, we actually have the answer to that. Meet Jungle Thrasher, the set that was cut from the Deep Jungle lineup. Jungle Thrasher seems to have been another set designed by Mark Stafford. The final prototype would have had 228 pieces altogether. This likely would have been another $15 set to balance things out between the humans and the robots. LEGO themselves never released anything regarding the set in their official channels, but images of a prototype model popped up in the winter 2008 issue of Brick Journal, complete with some rudimentary building instructions. Because the set used no exclusive parts, it's actually not too hard to recreate for yourself, and that's exactly what I've done here. The only thing we're missing, of course, would be the set stickers. The set makes for another unique entry into the Battle Machine lineup, and the Exo-Force Wiki's alternate name of Raging Bullfrog gives an idea of what animal inspired this particular build. The set really does have all the Deep Jungle hallmarks: the Bionicle-based melee weapon, the 6x6 inverted slope for the body of the battle machine, an insectoid-like mini-bot, and a color scheme that fits right in with the other sets. It's not entirely clear why the set was cut, but I think it's safe to assume that LEGO was just trying to save a bit of money as they slowly snuffed out Exo-Force. With no unique pieces or minifigures, it was likely that there hadn't been as much R&D put into this model as some of the others, and they felt no need to release it if it wasn't going to sell well anyway. It's a strange battle machine for sure, but having it get cut for little reasons still hurts quite a lot, especially when it would have fit so well with the other sets. I'm really excited to show you my favorite Deep Jungle set, and that is Storm Lasher. This is a really creative take on a robot battle machine, but it feels right at home in this specific sub-theme. This is again going to be a step up from the previous battle machines that we looked at, taking the price tag up to $19.99 and boasting an impressive 283 pieces. Inflation adjusted, you're looking at a price tag of about $30, which holds up pretty well today. I feel like Storm Lasher draws some inspiration from another iconic Exo-Force robot battle machine, Sonic Phantom. But this time, they got a little bit wackier with the design. It feels like something I've seen in the Avatar movies, actually. The bulk of the model comes from these two turbines on either side, which use fantasy-era castles' swords as blades, and can be spun independently. They also are on ratcheting joints, so you can do some proper crazy stuff with the configuration of this. If you want to make it land with the wings upright, you can do that. But I really love how you can angle them in any way you want to make it look like you're speeding forward or perhaps more level when you're landing. This is really, really fun. And I just love the aggression that this particular pose has to it with those great angles. The rings are made up of these hinge pieces. There's a ton, probably a near record-setting amount of them in a single set of these 1x2 modified bricks, and then a ton of tiles to kind of smooth things off. In the front, the craft is piloted by the set's single minifigure. That's the familiar Iron Drone, who you can never have enough of. The cockpit is pretty well decked out in weapons, I must say here too, with the claws in the front that can be articulated. Some, I mean like a ton of guns, missiles. It's great stuff. Moving backwards along the craft, you'll find the set's mini bot. And this one is so cool. It's a mosquito of sorts, keeping in theme with the robots, creepy crawlies, and this just looks fantastic. There's some great parts usage here, like these clear little winglets that we first saw in Wave 1 of Exo-Force on Hayato's little gate defender. There's another one of these spike pieces exclusive to the set here with black and then a yellow tip. You've got the Paraka brain tendrils on the back for legs, which look so good. The Technic balls for the buggy eyes, and then just a simple sticker to add some extra texture here. I would love to have an army of these. I think this is just probably my favorite mini bot of the entire sub-theme. And I think it really adds a lot to the battle machine when it's clipped on too. It doesn't feel out of place like some of the humans do when they're just, you know, got the whole robot there sitting on their arm. This kind of fleshes out the winglets in the back. It just looks great. I also want to point out too that this does have a handle, which makes it fantastic for swooshability. It's really lightweight. Most of the pieces that are here just go into making up the turbine, so they're small pieces, lightweight, and it feels really secure the whole time. There's something about a good playset that just makes me giddy, you know? This was a hoot to have as a kid, and it's a hoot to have as an adult too. You know what? I'm just gonna go fly this around for a little bit. Okay, let's look at the instructions here. So you get a nice, healthy sized booklet here, which is always fun. Not too much to show you. You've got the usual lineup of sets, just a lot more space in between them and smaller pictures for some reason, but get some of that cool jungle background, I guess. And then a showcase of the mini bot that's included in the set. And of course, sign up for LEGO Club, guys. Last but not least is going to be Hybrid Rescue Tank. To me, this very much feels like an upgraded version of Rio's mobile defense tank in Wave 2. And once again, this battle machine is piloted by Rio. Because this figure is exclusive to the largest set of the sub-theme, he becomes one of the rarer minifigures in all of Exo-Force. Much like the others though, his torso is the only thing different about him. The set also includes Sensei Kaken. Unfortunately, Kaken didn't get an upgrade, which is kind of surprising to me. This is only his second appearance after 2006's Sentai Fortress. And for some reason, even though he came in two of the largest and rarest Exo-Force sets, there's a ton of Sensei Keikens for pretty cheap on Bricklink, so if you want one, shouldn't be hard to get him. Hybrid Rescue Tank doesn't seem to be based off any specific creature or anything, but I think that's okay. It still has a really unique design, and there's a lot of fun stuff going on, like a gazillion laser cannons, which is awesome. The tank is made up of two pretty distinct parts. In fact, the top can split off entirely to become a flying craft to help combat many of the flying vehicles that you saw from the robots. When attached though, the direction of the top can actually be controlled remotely with a little gear on the side, which is always a fun feature. It was easy enough to implement, so why not do it? And you'll notice here too, as the vehicle rolls around, that you've actually got some spinning action with the frontmost laser cannons, which is really great. There's a little cockpit there for Keiken. It's nothing fancy. In fact, he can really easily just fall out the back because he's got no supports whatsoever. You can go straight out the back and through the bottom of the battle machine, which is kind of funny, but I mean, he's studded down. He's not going anywhere. He'll be fine, guys. And one thing that's really fun to point out here is this massive tire. This, I believe, originated with like larger Technic sets, which would make a lot more sense. This set makes great use of it here. It just gives this a fun shape that makes it visually distinct from, you know, some of the other tanks that have come out of Exo-Force. And then, of course, more laser cannons on ball joints. Awesome stuff. Up at the top, you'll find our last mini-bot here. He's pretty similar to the others and also has another giant laser cannon protruding from his chest, which I'm sure is very practical. Interestingly though, he's not holding anything. I would have loved, you know, more laser cannons. I think this mini-bot is integrated a little better into the actual vehicle. It kind of becomes a bit of a canopy armor for Rio up here in the top, which is a nice touch. At 347 pieces, this is definitely the largest set of the wave, and it would have had a bit of a price increase for that too, going up to $29.99, which inflation adjusted looks just under $45 today. And this is a bulky model for sure, longer than you expect it to be compared to the stuff you see in like the promotional images. And that was something that certainly was a pleasant surprise to me when I got to build this for the first time a few years ago. The last thing that I feel the need to highlight here is kind of funny, and if you have this set, let me know what your experience with this is too. But we've obviously got some big wedge bricks scattered all over. There's 3 of each direction, right? So we got 3 of the left, 3 of the right. And all of my right wedges are slightly discolored. It just takes on a warmer hue. And it's only in the right wedges for some reason. Let me know if yours are also discolored or if this was just a bad batch that made it into this particular set. You can especially notice it with some of the stickers that are applied when you've got the regular old blue sticker put on the warm blue. It's like, oh, yeah, one of those is wrong. It's definitely the brick. Otherwise, though, the set looks good, quality assurance issues aside. And this set also would have had 2 instruction booklets. This is finally where I let y'all down, because I only have the first one. And apparently this is the one to have because the second booklet doesn't have any of the bonus fun stuff. It's only the first one. You're seeing mostly familiar stuff here, but there is a really nice full page of the poster, which is fun to look at. Hopefully you can pick up on some more of those background details, some hidden bits of lore that were unfortunately never expanded upon. And don't forget to sign up for the club, guys. That's it. That's Exo-Force for you. I love this theme. I will always love this theme. You know, LEGO does a gazillion mechs these days, you know, between Ninjago and Monkey Kid and Star Wars, for crying out loud. We're going to get Harry Potter, Minecraft mechs, you know, before too long. But these, to me, will always stand the test of time. To have a theme fully based around mechs, battle machines, and to bring in a wildly creative story, even if it didn't always hit logically. As a kid, it was so fun to get behind that and learn more about this really intriguing world of a split mountain and evil robots and hidden cities and ancient technology and lots of laser cannons. You know, from its start in 2006 to its premature end in 2008, this theme just oozed with creativity. It was abundantly apparent There was a tremendously passionate team behind it the entire time, and you gotta love that. Exo-Force is the embodiment of why original LEGO themes are the heart and soul of this company, and why I gravitated to this particular brand in the first place. Yeah, we all love our licensed themes. It's great to get Star Wars sets, it's great to get Minecraft sets, but man, to see the designers unleashed again like they were here for Exo-Force, how awesome would that be? I miss it dearly, but I'm so glad I got to experience it. I'm so glad I got to share these with you all. I hope you get the opportunity to pick up one of these sets. Maybe not even a Deep Jungle set specifically, but something from Wave 1 or Wave 2. It's a fascinating time capsule of what LEGO in the 2000s was. And the LEGO of the 2000s to me is just pure magic. That's where you saw so many of the themes that I cover on this channel. You know, Dino Attack, Knight's Kingdom, of course, Atlantis, so many all-timers. With, again, that unrestrained creativity. But yeah, that's enough yapping. Thank you so much for joining me over these past 5 videos. I really hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into Exo-Force, and I hope I can return to it at some point in the future, maybe explore some of the combiner and alternate models and things like that. Or perhaps better yet, some Exo-Force mocks. I'd love to get back into that at some point, to expand upon some of these, maybe go deeper into the jungle and see what else is waiting there. It's been a fantastic journey, and I appreciate you being here. Hope you have yourself a great life, and I'll see you again soon.